Embracing change, the key to growth. Change is the heartbeat of life. From the microscopic choreography of a single cell to the sweeping tides of human civilization, nothing endures except change itself. Yet, time and again, we recoil at its prospect, clutching our routines, hiding from uncertainty, and convincing ourselves that the familiar is safer. Today, we'll journey through the science, the history, and the human stories that reveal a paradox. It isn't change we should fear, but staying the same. Because in change lies the crucible of growth and the pathway to maturity. Evolutionary imperative origins of life and genetic mutation. 4 billion years ago, Earth's primordial soup gave rise to RNA strands, precursors to life. Each replication carried a chance of mutation. Some mutations were harmful, but others conferred advantages: tolerance to temperature swings, new metabolic pathways, or resistance to toxic elements. Over eons, these small, random changes, filtered by environmental pressures, gave rise to bacteria, algae, fungi, plants, and animals. Without mutation, there is no adaptation. Without adaptation, no survival. Natural selection in action. Peppered moth, Biston betularia. Before the Industrial Revolution, nearly all peppered moths were pale speckled, camouflaging on lichen-covered trees. As soot blackened bark in the 19th century, the darker melanic form became dominant, evading avian predators. When air quality improved, the light form resurged. This rapid color shift, documented in less than a century, underscores how environmental change demands biological change. Personal metamorphosis, cellular renewal. Every 30 days, your outer skin layer sloughs off and regenerates, about 3.6 million new cells per minute. Your gut lining replaces itself in just 3 to 5 days to maintain digestive integrity. Even your bones remodel continuously, replacing old osteocytes with new ones to adapt to mechanical stresses. Hormonal adaptation. When you start high-altitude training, your body senses decreased oxygen. Within days, it ramps up erythropoietin production, boosting red blood cell counts to improve oxygen transport. Move from a tropical climate to a temperate zone, and your sweat glands, blood flow, and metabolic rate subtly shift to optimize temperature regulation. Microbiome flexibility. Your gut hosts trillions of bacteria that react to your diet. Introduce fermented foods, and beneficial lactobacillus strains bloom. Go vegan, and fiber-degrading species proliferate. This microbial plasticity shows that even our inner ecosystems rely on change to maintain balance. Psychological growth through change, rewiring the brain. Neuroplasticity refers to the brain's ability to reconfigure neural networks in response to new stimuli. When you learn a new language, the gray matter in language processing centers expands. When you endure trauma, certain circuits associated with fear can become hypersensitive until you retrain them through therapy. Landmark study, London taxi drivers. Researchers at University College London scanned the brains of veteran taxi drivers, each having memorized London's 25,000 streets. The posterior hippocampus, responsible for spatial memory, was significantly larger compared to control subjects. This striking physical change proves that intentional learning literally reshapes our minds. lifelong learning and resilience. Embracing novelty, be it playing an unfamiliar musical instrument, tackling a coding challenge, or improvising recipes, creates new synapses, strengthens existing ones, and delays cognitive decline. In elderly populations, engaging in mentally stimulating activities reduces Alzheimer's risk by up to 65%. Emotional maturity, the role of adversity. Psychological research shows that moderate stressors, job changes, relocations, relationship shifts, act as catalysts for self-discovery. They force us to confront limiting beliefs and develop coping strategies. For example, survivors of economic downturns often report newfound resourcefulness and resilience. Those who lost livelihoods during the 2008 recession had to pivot careers, retrain skills, and, in many cases, found more fulfilling paths. Empathy through change. Experiencing personal upheaval fosters empathy. A single parent juggling work and childcare can relate more deeply to others in similar circumstances. Empathy underpins emotional intelligence, our ability to recognize and respond to others' feelings, critical for healthy relationships and leadership. Societal progress and innovation, technological revolutions, printing press to digital age. In 1440, Johannes Gutenberg's movable type democratized knowledge, fueling the Renaissance and accelerating scientific discovery. Fast forward to 1990. Tim Berners-Lee's creation of the World Wide Web shattered geographical barriers, enabling instant global collaboration. Automobile adoption. At the dawn of the 20th century, skeptics decried the horseless carriage as reckless and unnecessary. Horse breeders, coachmakers, and carriage drivers feared obsolescence. Yet by 1920, mass production techniques made cars affordable, reshaping cities with highways, suburbs, and drive-in culture. Today's electric vehicle revolution echoes the same pattern. Early resistance yields to transformative convenience, resistance and acceptance. Each disruptive technology meets fear, job loss, safety concerns, moral panic. But history shows societies that embrace rather than resist change reap the greatest rewards. Cultural evolution, civil rights movement. In the 1950s and 60s, entrenched segregation was defended as tradition, yet a shift in public consciousness, sparked by grassroots activism, moral arguments, and federal legislation, broke down Jim Crow. The result, broader social cohesion and progress toward equality, women's suffrage, and workplace integration. Early 20th century suffragists faced derision, arrest, and violence. Their persistence rewrote national constitutions. Today, women comprise nearly 50% of STEM undergraduates in many countries, a sea change from the past. Environmental awakening. Rachel Carson's Silent Spring, published in 1962, challenged the unquestioned use of pesticides. The resulting shift in public awareness birthed the modern environmental movement, leading to the creation of the EPA, bans on DDT, and the concept of sustainable development. Business and the corporate imperative, adapt or perish. Case study, Netflix versus Blockbuster. In 2000, Netflix mailed DVDs. Blockbuster reined in brick-and-mortar rentals. Netflix proposed an online streaming service. Blockbuster dismissed it. By 2010, Blockbuster declared bankruptcy. Netflix led the era of on-demand entertainment. Kodak's downfall. Kodak invented the digital camera in 1975, but feared it would undercut film sales. By protecting the old business model, Kodak missed the digital wave and filed for bankruptcy in 2012. Corporate Darwinism. Today, companies embed innovation teams, conduct regular what-if scenario drills, and invest in research and development labs. They know that agility, not size or legacy, is the true competitive advantage. Agile mindset. Fail fast, learn faster. Tech startups pioneered the minimum viable product concept, launch an early prototype, gather user feedback, iterate rapidly. This approach reduces sunk costs and aligns developments with real customer needs. Cross-industry adoption. From healthcare to manufacturing, organizations adopt agile frameworks, daily stand-ups, sprint cycles, retrospective reviews, to maintain alignment and adapt to market shifts. Each failed sprint yields insights that propel teams forward. Overcoming fear, the anatomy of fear. Neuroscience shows that uncertainty triggers the amygdala, our primitive threat center. It floods us with adrenaline, narrowing focus to fight or flight. While helpful for immediate dangers, this response misfires when we face everyday opportunities, a job interview, a new relationship, or a creative project. Why staying the same is scarier. Stagnation's hidden costs, physical decline, chronic inflammation and disease. A sedentary lifestyle triggers a cascade of low-grade inflammation, elevated C-reactive protein, interleukin-6 and TNF-alpha levels. Over time, this inflammatory milieu undermines blood vessel integrity, accelerates atherosclerosis, and increases cancer risk. The World Health Organization estimates that physical inactivity is responsible for 5 million deaths annually, more than obesity itself. Even light activity, standing or walking a few minutes every hour, can cut all-cause mortality by 15%. Metabolic slowdown. Muscles are metabolic powerhouses. When unused, they atrophy, reducing resting metabolic rate and promoting insulin resistance. A self-perpetuating cycle forms. Less muscle leads to lower calorie burn, which leads to weight gain, which leads to further inactivity, bone density and balance. Mechanical stress from movement stimulates osteoblast activity. Without it, bone mineral density falls, raising osteoporosis and fracture risk, especially in older adults. Regular change in activity type, strength training, balance drills, aerobic exercise, preserves skeletal health and mobility. Mental atrophy, dopamine desensitization. Novel experiences trigger dopamine spikes, reinforcing learning. By contrast, monotonous routines produce ever-diminishing dopamine release. The result? Anhedonia, an inability to feel pleasure. Over time, this blunts motivation for even basic tasks, shrinkage of cognitive reserve. Studies in neurology show that people who engage in mentally stimulating activities, learning, problem-solving, social interaction, build a cognitive reserve that delays dementia onset by up to 10 years. Avoiding new challenges hastens decline, emotional rigidity. Without fresh perspectives, emotional intelligence stagnates. You become less adaptable under stress, more prone to anxiety and depression. Learning new skills or exploring unfamiliar cultures fosters resilience and positive coping mechanisms. Social rigidity, relationship entropy. In long-term partnerships, repeating the same date night or conversations without mixing things up leads to emotional drift. Couples who try novel activities together, cooking classes, dance lessons, volunteering, report 30% higher relationship satisfaction. Network narrowing. Professionally, sticking to the same circle of contacts limits access to new opportunities. LinkedIn analyses reveal that individuals who connect with different industries or geographic regions are twice as likely to discover career-advancing leads. Community isolation. Communities that resist demographic or economic change, refusing new businesses or cultural events, often stagnate, losing younger generations to more dynamic regions. Opportunity lost. The cost of what if? Innovation deferred. Every untried idea, be it a side hustle, research project, or creative endeavor, represents potential breakthroughs never realized. A 2018 Harvard Business Review study showed that organizations encouraging employee experimentation saw 4 times more new product launches. Personal fulfillment. The average person has 60,000 thoughts a day. Countless sparks of inspiration flicker and die. When we never act on them, we lose not only personal satisfaction, but the joy of self-discovery. Skill atrophy. Skills unused are skills lost. Musicians who stop practicing see performance decline in as little as 2 weeks. Language learners forget vocabulary without periodic usage. Opportunity cost isn't just missed gains, it's active degradation. Regrets toll end-of-life insights. In Bronnie Ware's palliative care interviews, the top regret cited was, "I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself." Regret isn't just emotional, it translates into stress-related health issues, from hypertension to depression. Preventing regret, proactively pursuing change, applying for that job, expressing your feelings, traveling alone, creates no regret milestones. Each risk taken builds confidence, reduces future remorse, and enriches your life story. Cultivating a change-embracing mindset. Reframe fear as fuel, neurochemical shift, adrenaline and dopamine synergy. The racing heart and alert mind of fear are chemically identical to excitement. By consciously labeling that rush excitement, you can shift amygdala activity, turning avoidance into approach behavior. Studies in psychophysiology show performance improvements of up to 15% when anxiety is reinterpreted this way. Practical technique. The 30-second rule. The moment fear strikes, whether about public speaking or a tough conversation, count backward. 3, 2, 1, and move. This interrupts the fear loop, engages your prefrontal cortex, and kickstarts action before self-doubt swallows you. Visualization and affirmation. Mental rehearsal. Elite athletes visualize success in vivid detail, priming neural pathways for performance. Likewise, mentally rehearsing a challenging event rewires the brain for confidence. Positive self-talk. Replace "I can't" with "how can I?" or "this is an opportunity to learn." Over time, this rewrites your internal narrative from victim to victor. Small steps, big impact, micro habits and habit stacking, 1% improvements. Drawing from atomic habits, focus on tiny changes. Brushing with your non-dominant hand, standing during phone calls, reading 2 pages of a new book. Compounded daily, these yield remarkable long-term growth. Habit stacking, anchor a new habit to an existing routine. After I pour my morning coffee, I will write 1 journal sentence about today's goal. This piggybacks novelty onto stability, making change stick. Real-world success stories. Anita's public speaking. By starting with 1 genuine compliment per meeting, she rewired her social confidence. 6 months later, she was delivering keynote addresses to over 500 attendees. Carlos's fitness journey, a single push-up added daily morphed into a 5-day-a-week gym habit. Over a year, he lost 30 pounds, reversed pre-diabetes, and signed up as a volunteer fitness coach in his community. Ritualized reflection. Daily journaling practice, 5-minute debrief. Each night, note 3 instances you stepped outside your comfort zone. What, when, outcome. This builds awareness of progress and patterns, fuel for continuous improvement. Emotion mapping. Track how you felt before, during, and after each new activity. Over weeks, you'll see fear diminish and enjoyment grow. Quarterly and annual reviews, structured self-audit. Every 3 months, dedicate a half day to evaluate achievements. What new skills, experiences, or relationships have you gained? Setbacks. What obstacles did you face, and what lessons emerged? Next frontier. Which new challenge will you tackle in the coming quarter? Vision recalibration. Annually, revisit your long-term aspirations. Are they still aligned with your core values? Adjust timelines, methodologies, and support systems to stay on track. By understanding the true costs of staying the same and arming yourself with practical techniques to reframe fear, build micro-habits, and reflect with intention, you transform change from an obstacle into your greatest ally. Embrace the flow. Change is life's only constant. To fear change is to fear the very essence of growth. Instead, let us fear standing still, unchallenged, untested, untransformed. When we embrace change with curiosity and courage, we step onto a path of ever-unfolding possibility. The next chapter of your life awaits. Write it in bold new ink. Remember, the greatest risk lies not in change, but standing still. Don't fear change, fear staying the same.